Yeah, so you can't have a ceasefire, leftists, because you're too tied into the Pentagon now. You have too many, like, our accusations that Swalwell was messing around with the Chinese honeypot and all that's not conjecture in any way. We can't do anything about it. Your party, the Democrats, we have people who are openly traitorous and spies in Congress. We have more than ample evidence that this has infected many bureaus. We can't do anything about it because of your party. This is now, and so understand what the next stage of nationalism is. Punishing those who are not nationalists, and forever. Like making it that you don't have the ability to have power over many of the citizenry. And you have some local power. But nationalists are going to have to crush you. And this is now becoming something that's being recognized planet-wide across most modern governments. Judging from the party politics of, from Portugal all throughout Europe. And that's the next one, is that nationalism threatens war. Nationalism threatens the endless war state. Remember, the claim why nationalism is dangerous is because, we'll be at war all the time. Everybody will be fighting all the time. Maybe people have forgotten that. But that's what the baby boomers used to teach us when we were younger. That they taught us, the thing that was bad about nationalism is everyone went to war. My own grandparents, this was pretty much the understanding that they had. Nationalism causes war. And that's it. It was that simple of a formula. So that would be what? That would be almost 40 years of that just being a fundamental formula in polite society. Well, if the globe doesn't come together like a Coca-Cola ad, everyone will fight all the time. My nation, the United States of America, has been in some way, shape, or form kicking the shit out of somebody since I was born. And that was the year we got out of Vietnam. So it's just now this thing of, so you're trying to now tell me that the worst thing we could do is to have nationalism. Now that's a threat. What might happen? The government will experiment on us with unproven and untested medical ideas? What, will lop the cocks off of children? What could go wrong? Really, what could go wrong? If it's a nationalist government, we'll protect women from crime? Okay, don't want to do that. Let's go on with what we're doing right now. You guys will never get your ceasefire because, one, your ideas are incoherent. Two, to a great extent, you're incompetent. But three, the rest of the Islamic world doesn't necessarily seem to like the Palestinians much. Let's just keep it a stack. What it appears is that the Islamic world likes the Palestinians because they're a good story to tell to mess with the Jews. When you study enough about Islam and the history of Islam, you do find out, no. There's Christians and their issues with Jews. That Islam is easily keeping up. And in the modern period, since really the Enlightenment, when really the Western world started to embrace more and more and more Jewish ideas, especially things like Lurianic Kabbalah and things like that, where eventually with Joseph Hegel, you end up getting just a German kind of quasi-Christian view of the ideas from Kabbalah as they were interpreted by Joachim de Fiore. And Joachim de Fiore's interpretation of time, according to the Lurianic Kabbalah that he was exposed to, that ends up creating the model that the Christian Brothers, that denomination of Protestants, Trinitarian Protestants, is based on. And that guy Kelly, the Kelly Bible and all that. And so believing that there's dispensations, these, I think, 4 dispensations of man or something like that. But you guys, because you don't think big ideas are important unless they've happened during your lifetime and you are totally aware of them. There's another problem you guys have. Because liberals skew young, you're people without a lot of life experience. So a lot of times you make these and you insist on stuff you don't really know a whole lot about. And I know this because I was one of you. And that now and then stuff would come up that I'm like, okay, never heard of this. And I was very, very fortunate that when I got red-pilled, I ran into every curious possible thing. And it just walked up to me and started talking to me. Freemasonry walked up to me and started talking to me at a party. Well, more like I went to a party and it turned out one of these guys was a Freemason. And, the Christian Brother guy, that dude was, he actually was a really wonderful guy who ended up making me understand the import of letters of St. Paul. And that he's like, no, you have to know this. You have to know it. And I think it's kind of funny that he didn't understand that his point of view was a type of Judaized Christianity but I don't think he cared about the dispensations. I don't think that mattered to him. He actually really seemed to be concentrating heavily on an analysis of the book of St. John, which, just that idea. He's taking care of his business. One time he just mentions, he goes, oh yeah, I give substantial amounts of money in charity to, just a few places. And then finally, at some point I figure out who this guy is. He's just one of the customers at the shop. I finally figured out, I'm like, you own one of the biggest woodworking companies in the fucking in the county. Nice as nice could be. Unfortunately, it started with his brain. The end started with his brain. Then he passed on. But I still remember he would see me reading Thomas Sowell, and he goes, my wife loves his writing. So great. He's such a great guy. So, you won't get now, not only will you not get your ceasefire, now it's a matter of principle that Ukraine, the Ukraine, they're going to have to, it's going to have to either be a new president sits down with Putin and makes peace, or Zelensky tucks his fucking tail between his legs, or his own government knocks him off. There's only so many ways this works out, and Zelensky knows it, and everybody knows it. And Russia is keeping him alive. Russia could have put the touch on him a long time ago. And that's one of those where either Russia's diabolically ingenious and totally fucking incompetent. Always, all the time, at the same time. Doesn't work. It just simply doesn't work right. Doesn't add up. And so all over YouTube now, everybody has these videos that are getting into how Nazi are the Nazis in Ukraine, and they've found excellent information on this. Remember, this was all banned by you guys. You guys banned us from talking about the fact that there's mountain ranges of evidence. It wasn't just a mountain, it was a mountain range of evidence that there was that what we had done is cultivated soccer hooligan, neo-fascist, neo-Nazi types to counter Russia. This was overwhelming. Russia was trying to warn the United States of this. What was happening with the burgeoning nationalist movement around the time really of Gamergate, because there was only so much I understood about all that and cared. But what really I started to find interesting is how Russia was trying to give hints, like, your government is doing this. Now, this would seem crazy unless you knew a little bit more about your government that they don't really want you knowing. The right wing became hyper aware. So this wasn't just a small number of people. And at this stage, actually, this is a good point to segue into that. There's a thing, really, red pill, right wing. Not all red pillars would say, I'm right wing, but they have to understand the red pill is now a thing of that makes you right wing. You can't really be left wing and be red pilled. That's not real, because the thing with red pilling is that you're aware of the evolutionary differences between men and women and know that really women need men much more than men need women. And that's a very good reason for it. It's a very good reason for this. And evolutionarily speaking, teleologically, this makes sense. And so, because we see it with other animals. You have a queen bee and lots of males. That kind of thing. So, the red pill in taking on, like, no, there's absolute kind of patterns and rules that life forms follow. That there's inescapable